Hello there, I'm Jan from JB Crafts and I'm back today with my next video tutorial. So this is the next one in my colour theory series and we are getting quite a way through this now. There are lots of videos up on my channel regarding this particular theme and we've worked our way through lots of different types of colour theory. Excuse me. And I am going to add another one to it today and a couple more definitions for you so that we're building that library. But essentially, just a really simple sort of clarification of how you can use a colour wheel and incorporate that into your paper crafting. So I'm just going to very quickly recap some of the things we've already touched on. I don't want to go into too much detail. If you have just sort of stumbled across this video today, there are lots more on the channel previous to this, going back several weeks now, where we've talked about lots of different aspects of the colour wheel. So I'm just literally going to cover some of the things that we've actually talked about quickly, and then we'll move on to what we're going to do today. So just some of the definitions that we've learned. We've talked about the hue being the pure colour. So what you see around the outside of the wheel, the actual pure colour that we're going to work with. We've also talked about tints, which is what I work with quite a lot, being the different sort of aspects of that pure colour by adding white to it. So you can see here the red takes us straight into the pink, which is anybody that knows me knows that that's my favorite color to work with when I'm crafting. So just by adding different levels of white, you can see we get that lovely gradient there of pink. Now, what I haven't sort of talked about, I've not really turned this over. This is actually dual-sided. And if we just have a look at the other side, we can see the opposite really of the tints there. If I just go back round to the red again at the top. And this time we've got tones and shades. So a tone is where you add grey to a pure colour, and a shade is where you add black. So this is a way of deepening. You can see here that we go from that lovely pure bright red all the way down almost to sort of a burgundy shade here and around the wheel. So tints, tones and shades, three different definitions there for us to just have a little look at. I'm going to go back to this side again. And we also have previously mentioned about the value of a colour just being simply how light or dark it is. So you can see, you know, those sort of tints of red there, very light, down to that darker pure colour. And then a new one today is the saturation of a colour. So this just really refers to how vibrant something is. So is it a really fully saturated colour where it's a vibrant red? Or is it sort of more desaturated and you're getting those grey tones in it? So like when we turned over and we had those much deeper sort of almost greyed out colours into the burgundy there. So the saturation of a colour. And then previous videos include things like the primary colours, the three primary colours, the three secondary colours. We looked at tertiary colours being the ones that appear between a primary and a secondary. We've looked at complementary colours being opposite each other on the wheel. We also looked at split complementary colours where you come opposite and then go to each side. And I am flicking through this quite quickly because the other videos relate to this in much more detail. The last one that I did last week was monochrome, which is all shades of a certain colour, and that's one of my favourite. I do a lot of monochrome work, so it could be all the shades of the red violet, could be all the shades of the yellow, any of the colours on the wheel. And then today, again, another favourite that I often use, we're going to introduce a new theme today, and we're going to talk about analogous colours, and these are ones that fall, if I just move this round, these are the ones that come next to each other. So you've got that lovely gradient of colour. So you can use anywhere between 3 and maybe 5 of these different shades. And if they actually sit next to each other on the wheel, they're what we term as analogous colours. Okay, it can be anywhere on the wheel, you know, so it could go around this way. You could start from the blue and work your way around into the violets and into those red violets. It could be round this side. You could maybe start off with yellow and you could work around the greens into the blue. So lots and lots of different ways of incorporating this in. So analogous colours, and that's where we're going to start today. So I have got a couple of samples, and then we're going to make a different colourway in the tutorial today. So the first one I started sort of around that red, that pink tone here, and I had a look at the reds, the orange reds and the red oranges, and this is what I came up with here. So you can see we've got that lovely, I've chosen the pink from the tints of red here. Nearly always go for pink as opposed to red, unless I'm wanting a specific red for, you know, such as a poppy or something like that. Then we've gone into that lovely orange red, and then into the red orange. So again, the first thing I did was actually take out my swatch card, because I have used a combination here of Distress Oxide inks, I've used some pattern paper, and I've used some scrap textured cardstocks from my scrap pack. So the first thing I did was have a look on my swatch card here to see how I sort of fared with the colourways that I wanted. And I actually chose, for my pink, I chose the Kitsch Flamingo, which is this one here. So you can just see there. So that was the pink at the top here. I then went down into that orange red group, and I've picked Abandoned Coral. So that's going to be my orange red. And then I went into the red oranges, and we've come further around the swatches here, and I landed on Spiced Marmalade, which is this one just here. So that's the three colours that I built up on my inked piece. And then I've got a slightly darker tone of it here, and then I picked out some scrap paper that had got those colours in it. So you can just see here where we've got that sort of darker colour here, we've got the more orangey tone, and then into those pinks to make those three. So that was the first one that I did, and literally very, very, very simple today. You know, it's a flat card. I didn't bother with the inside of it today. I've just wanted to concentrate on the front. Everything stuck down flat apart from the little sentiment here, and then I've also incorporated some of my favourite flat back pearls into that design as well. So those were sort of more warmer tones, and then I recreated it again. But in this side time, we've gone round the cooler side of the wheel here. So we actually started with the green this time, and I've used the same layout. I've just altered the colour scheme. So this is the same paper pad. These have come from a plaid paper pad. And again, we've actually got the green tone in there, and the green that I chose was Evergreen Bough, which comes into this section here. That was the top one here. Then I actually went into those blue greens and went for my peacock feathers. So that is actually that mid-tone. And again, these all appear in this piece of pattern paper. And then I went into the bluer shades here, and we've got the Faded Jeans. So that's the one that's at the bottom here. And again, appears nicely in the paper. So we've got two there that are both analogous colour schemes, more from the warm side of the colour wheel and the cool tones of the colour wheel. So I am actually going to recreate this, but I'm going to bring in three more colours, and I just wanted to sort of work my way around, and you know, you can stop anywhere on the wheel to do this. So let's just pop those to one side for a second, and what I'm actually going to do now is bring in some shades of the violets. So let's have a look. Where did we end up? I went for the blue violet, the violet and the red violet, and again I had a look through my inks to see what I'd got, and from the blue violet I've gone more sort of down this edge of the tints with shaded lilac. I've then gone down the center with the violet one, and again we've landed on Dusty Concord there. And then for the red violet I've brought in my Seedless Preserve. So we've got a nice run of those lilacs into sort of blue lilacs into the more red lilacs, red purples there. And that's what we're going to create our particular piece with today. So let's move that out of the way. I've got a little scrap of card that I'm going to add some colour to, just to show you what I mean with that gradient there. So just a little scrap of smooth white cardstock, and I've got a couple of my blender brushes here, one for the blue purples, one for the red purples there. So I'm going to start with Shaded Lilac at the top here, just load up my brush, And I just want to create sort of thirds along my piece of cardstock here. So we're going to come in from the top with that shaded lilac, which is a lovely sort of blue lilac. And again, sort of governed by, I've got another piece of that plaid paper with these colours in. So that's nice and saturated on that one. And then I'm just going to give my brush a little clean on some kitchen paper, just so that I don't contaminate the next ink too much, because I'm going to use the same brush for this particular one. So I've now got my Dusty Concord, and I'm going to come down the middle section here like so. So I'm going to start about 2/3 of the way down and then work up towards that shaded lilac. Let me just put that to one side for you, like so. And then just where it meets, I'm just going to overlap slightly with the Dusty Concord there. And then I'm just going to give that a little tiny swatch off on there again. You can see where I've been working earlier. I've got a really nice pretty rainbow of colours going on here. And then the mind starts thinking, can you use that in something, Jan? Right, I just want to go back now to my shaded lilac first. And just blend over that join a little bit there. Just to blend those in nicely. That's fine. I'm quite happy with that. So that's those two. And then I'm just going to change my brush now to that more red violet, which is my Seedless Preserves. So I'm just going to grab a little piece of tape just to hold the card with, because I don't want to take any of the ink back off. So I tend to just use some tape on my fingers just to hold the card there. So again, I'm going to come from the bottom. You can see a little bit more vibrant on that one. And again, I'm just saturating the card with the inks up to the join where the previous colour was. And then I'm just going to bring in that other brush and just blend back into my colour to just get that join nice and smooth. So I'm quite happy with that there. So I'll just put the tape away, pop the brushes to one side, pop the inks to one side, and you can see we've got that lovely sort of flow from the shaded lilac into the Dusty Concord into that Seedless Preserves. And again, if I bring the wheel back in, you can see those colours here now, from the blue violets into the violet into that red violet there. So that's going to be part of my design. I can get rid of the mat now, I don't need that. And then I'll bring in the other pieces that I've got ready. So we're going to work on a DL card. And my card today just measures 8 inches by 4. So the DL is double length. So whatever your width is here, you just double it to get your length. So 8 inches tall by 4 inches wide. And then I've created a panel to work on that is 7 5/8 by 4 5/8. And this is just going to sit nicely. And I've just gone round the edge of it with a little tiny bit of lilac ink just to offset it from the card blank at the back of it. So that's what we're going to pop on there. So I'm going to stick, we'll stick that one down using some of my all-purpose glue. Get that one stuck to the card. If you want to add foam between these, you can, but I've just kept everything flat today just for simplicity, so that I can concentrate on the colour scheme rather than the design. So that one's going to sit on there like that. And then I've got some pieces pre-cut ready to do that design. So I've got a piece of that plaid paper, and again you can see we've got some of these colour tones in there. I've also got a solid, which is my textured cardstock out of the scrap box there, and then this one is going to go in the background. Okay, so all I'm going to do is stick these in place now. So I'm going to use that same glue, and we're going to add some to the back of the plaid piece. And then I'm just going to lay that down for a second while I add some to the back of this one as well, because these want to overlap each other. So I'm going to pop my tweezers on that piece, and then I'm going to get this one pretty much lined up where I want it. So again, you know, if you want to bring in something to get everything straight, I tend to just go by eye. And then what I want to do is slot this one just underneath the edge there, so that it's not quite covered up, but I just wanted that one to peek out. And again, I'm just going to have a look down this side here and make sure that everything is nice and flat. And then I can just use a piece of my wax paper there just to give that a press down and make sure everything's sealed. And then again, I'm going to add that long thin strip of textured card on top of there. So we're bringing in that nice colour scheme. So this one's going to sit a little bit lower down, and we're going to overlap both pieces, and this one's going to come lower at the bottom. Okay, so that's my background layout. And then I've brought in some flower dies. So these are actually, let's have a look, Silhouette Florals from Crafter's Companion. And there's lots and lots of different flowers in here. I've got a set of these, and I've actually gone for this one here, and I have cut a couple of those just in white cardstock. You can see there, if I pop it on here, you can see it better. So it's actually this particular one here. Okay, so just pop those to one side, and I've cut that twice, and what we're going to do is actually pop this like so. Now, because I'm going on to different surfaces, I am going to swap my glue now. I'm going to bring in my quick dry glue here. So again, I'm just going to grab that one with my tweezers and just add little bits of glue behind here to secure it. It doesn't have to be smothered in glue. I'm just going to go in those obvious places, make sure that everything's got a little tiny dab. And then this one is going to go about here, like so. And then just while I'm inking that, gluing that next one up, we'll pop the block on that one. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. Add some little dabs of glue again. And then we're going to pop this one over the top. So just in strategic places to make sure that it's actually secure. And then I'm just going to offset this one slightly so that we've got that sort of crisscross effect here. And I just want to make sure that they're not quite touching each other, and there's a little bit of overlap there. And again, give that a press down. Okay. And then I've used my mini sentiment dies here. Dies. They're not dies, Jan, they're stamps. So you can just see in here, there's lots and lots of different ones. I'm not quite sure where these are from. I've had these quite a long time. Lots of different ones in there. And I've just used one that says, sending big hugs. And I've just stamped that out and cut it out with one of my little stitched dies there. So that's going to go across to break up that. Everything's vertical at the minute. So I just wanted something to go across to break that design. Okay, and I've popped a little tiny bit of foam tape on the back of here, not a lot. It's only 1 millimeter thick, just to add a little tiny bit of depth to it here. And again, I am going to add, as always, that little bit of wet glue for a couple of reasons. One, it helps with the positioning. It gives you that couple of seconds to wiggle it about, and two, the longevity of the stick. So again, I'm just going to come across here, just underneath where the flowers finish, and pop that down. And again, if you want to just check that things are straight, if you've got access to a T-ruler or a set square, anything like that, you can just double check that it's all running nice and straight there. And then, of course, just to finish off, I have got a multitude of different, I've been through my stash and just had a look to see what I'd got with regards to those colours. And I do have pearls in pretty much any colour. I've got a whole drawer full of them, and I've just pulled out some darker ones. I've got some mid-tone ones, and I've got a little bit lighter here with the more of a sort of that red violet colour. So all we're going to do then is I'm going to add some first of all to the centres of the flowers, and I'm just going to put one little dab of my quick grab glue there in the centres to start with. And I think we will go with a combination of dark one, and I think we will have one of those lighter ones as well to offset, and then another one across here, and then the darker one again at the bottom. Okay, and then I'm just going to scatter these across. So I'm just going to go with a couple at the bottom here. You know, I like to sort of come up through the design. We're going to have one on here. I'm going to have one popping out of the design here, and a couple just on that white space at the top there. So pop the lid on that one, and let's have a look. I'm going to go with that larger, darker one, just one of that larger one here, like so. And then I'm going to bring those lighter ones in again, and I think we will have a lighter one there, a lighter one up at the top there, and then I'm going to go for one of these more purpley just here, and then I think I'm going to come back to those really dark ones and just take the little ones here to the top and bottom. So we've got a mixture of those colours that I've used in the design there. Okay, pop those out of the way, and you can see how we've created that same theme again there with those analogous colours. So we chose our colour palette for the inks here, just taking some of the colours from the pattern paper, and we've created that analogous colour scheme. So if I bring you the other two in, you can see we've got a warm tones, we've got a cool tones, and then we've got one that overlaps both technically. The blue violet is more in the cooler tones, and then it goes into the warmer tones with the red violet. So we've sort of got a little bit in between. So yeah, that's my designs today. I hope you like them. Nice and simple to do. As I say, using the scraps again, I am very big on using up the scrap products. I have so many that I don't think I will ever get through them, but it is a bit of a personal challenge for me. So yeah, that's what we've come up with today. So if you've enjoyed the tutorial today on those analogous colours, please consider giving the video a thumbs up. And I will be back with more of the colour theory next time. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining me today. Please consider hitting that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel tremendously. And I will be back very, very soon with my next tutorial. Bye bye for now.